Okay. Can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. So I just unmuted my mic. So let me know. No audio. Let me know. Confirm. YouTube, you're usually the first to hear me. I know on TikTok you can hear me already. So let me know if you can now hear me. Yes. Okay. So I see yes now. Okay. Good, good, good. Thank you. I'm on Instagram. All right. So since I was mute, I'm gonna start over so you know what I'm talking about. So thank you so much, Ahmed. So the right now we're looking at solutions if you've thank you, Jellica. Nice to see you. Thank you, Rodwin. Nice to see you. Um, okay, good. All right, nice. Okay, so you've overstayed your visa. What are the solutions to pursue? Because once you've overstayed your visa, it means you're just as vulnerable as anybody who does not have their papers. And I can tell you this, that people who have overstayed their visas are being caught up and detained just like anybody else. People who have overstayed their visas are considered undocumented. And I know that if you've overstayed, you are feeling the hardships related to overstaying, not able to necessarily find a job because you no longer have your visa. Maybe you even had your visitor's visa. And so you weren't able to work, but now you may be in need of work. You're not able to travel because you have overstayed and it's not maybe not safe to travel. You mobility has been affected because you no longer have the ability to get a valid driver's license. And yes, the real ID is also a big concern because when you're flying, the real ID is now a requirement. I mean, if you have a valid current passport, then that can be used as an alternative. But one way to fix that is to look into applying for another type of immigration benefit, even with an overstay, even if you don't have your papers. And these options that I'm going to talk about also covers those who may have come in without inspection and you're facing the same hardships. So let's talk about those solutions because I already know that many of you that are listening you're struggling and you're trying to figure it out. Now, yes, getting married to a US citizen is one option if you've overstayed your visa. Unfortunately, though, not all of us can go pick up a spouse off the shelves in the store. So it's sometimes, in many cases, is not a feasible option. Maybe hopefully in the future you will meet someone and organically fall for them and want to plan your lives together in the future, but it's not something that you can snap your fingers and get a spouse. And if you are doing that where you are making arrangements to get married just for the green card, that is illegal. And there's no such thing as business marriage in immigration here. It's not legal and it gets a lot of people in trouble. And I can tell you now that they are searching for things like this now, going through marriage based applications with a fine tooth comb to ensure that there is no fraud, which is called marriage fraud. So, what are other than getting married to a US citizen? Yes, that's a good option if you have that option. But if you do not have that option, is there any other way? That is a common question I get. Can I get my papers without getting married? The answer is yes. But it depends on what you're going through, right? It depends on what your particular circumstances are. So I will give you some examples here. So there was a situation, a case that we won where our client came to the United States and went into a relationship with her significant other. Her significant other was supposed to do right by her, get married, but was promising these things. However, He did not do that. He trapped her in this promise of marriage, and instead, it turned abusive, and he started to force her to take care of his kids that he had outside of their relationship, and to do work in his business, to do work in his house. And all the while, she would raise the fact that she would be better off if he married her and got her papers. They were already together. She had his babies, children of her own, and he instead he used it as leverage. Anytime she wanted to escape the situation because she realized there was no hope with this person, he would raise the fact that he can call immigration on her if she leaves him. He can take away her kids. He is the one with the protection in the United States and not her. So she needs to either stay where she is, continue the way she's continuing, or she can face misery and uncertainty and face deportation as a result of his threats to call the police on her, call immigration, and take her to court to take away their kids. This, my friends, is a form of trafficking. I know if you're watching, and for example, here's another example of that on a more extreme level, but what's happening now with the Diddy trial. Cassie went through that same situation. When I'm watching that, when I'm watching the trial and hearing everything she went through, my clients go through that. So this is not just a celebrity thing. Everyday people go through situations like this. And yes, it is considered trafficking. If Cassie was an immigrant and she came to me and told me what she went through, surely she would have gotten a T visa, right? Because it is clear trafficking, and not because this person is an intimate partner. An intimate partner can be a trafficker. And so the example I gave you here is an example of trafficking. So why I'm bringing this up is because they never married. They never got married. However, my client was able to escape the situation because she was a victim of trafficking. And her trafficker was her intimate partner that used marriage, used threats as a tool to keep her trapped in that situation. So keep that in mind, that you do not have to, in some cases, you do not have to get relief based on just marriage. So that's one situation. Now, if you were victimized by an employer where the employer maybe lied to you to get you to work, that it happens very often. They'll say, if you work for me, I'll file your papers. They know very well that they cannot. They cannot do that. But you don't know that. You trust them. You think this is the employer. They have integrity. They know what they're doing. So you go ahead and you accept the job because you say the job isn't ideal. Normally, you wouldn't accept the job, but this is an opportunity for you and your family to get your papers. So you take the job depending on what you think is a valid promise for sponsorship. But the intention of the trafficker is different than what you think it is. That is labor trafficking by fraud. So you don't have to be married to a US citizen to get your papers. You can apply if you're in a situation like this or were in a situation like this in the past. You can apply for the T status. We've gotten this for our clients. And because of that, they are protected and they are moving forward with their lives, and they have a path to permanent residence now because of that. You can get your green card after 3 years of having the T status. And then you can also apply early in some cases. You can apply early for the T visa, the green card after getting the T visa. The T visa, it takes about a year and a half. It's getting longer. So I would say a year and a half to even 2 years to get this approval. But here's the other great thing about the T visa is while it's being processed, you are able to get what's called a bona fide determination letter that puts you in a type of protected status until you can get your work permit and then the final approval for the T visa. The regulations also allow applicants to apply for the work permit as well. And we're in the process of applying for work permits for our clients while they wait for the T visa. It's moving slower than we would like, but that is there. And so, because it is there in the regulations, they have to process those work permits. So, that is just one option. So, I talked to you about the T visa. If you have been the victim of a crime, if you've called the police because you were assaulted, or somebody held you against your will, that is that's considered kidnapping, or you were stalked, you faced domestic violence. These are examples of qualifying crimes for the U visa. So if you can relate to a situation like that where you've been victimized, you have been assaulted, um, you have been the victim of any crime that resulted in trauma to you, it's time to give us a call to evaluate your eligibility for the U visa. You can also go to our online form. Now we allow people to go and use the online form, and there you would be able to submit that form, and we would then schedule an appointment with you to go through a strategy session. So we call it an initial evaluation form. It is not to be substituted as legal advice from an attorney. It is for our purposes to make sure that we can assist you, that we have the information we need to know we can assist you going forward with that strategy session. If you're afraid to return to your country, keep in mind that there is asylum still available. You can do affirmative asylum after an overstay. Now, if you're afraid to go back to your country because you're being targeted based on your identity, based on your ethnicity, your nationality, your religion, your political opinion, any kind of group that you're a part of, right? Say it doesn't fall under religion, political opinion, ethnicity, but you're a part of a group that's identifiable in your country. And because you're a part of that group that's identifiable, it basically becomes a part of you, and they are targeting you because of that. You can possibly apply for asylum. And asylum does get you your work permit, it gets you protection while you wait for them to make a decision here. So it is a good option that is still available. Now, at the border, they have drastically restricted it. But if you are in the country and you want to apply for affirmative asylum, that is still available for you to apply for. Uh, all right. So I've talked about the T visa. I've talked about the U visa. I've talked about T visa, U visa, asylum, and let's talk about VAWA. Now, yes, in this case, you do have to. Now, in some cases, you have to be married. Some you don't. So let's talk, because I want to focus on forms of relief that are available in the case that you are not married to a US citizen. So in the case of VAWA, if you are the parent of a US citizen age 21 or older, or you are the son or daughter of a US citizen or permanent resident, and you are mistreated by this parent or by this adult citizen child, you can qualify for your own relief, your own green card through the VAWA process. Now, if you must be under 21 or under 25, in some cases, you cannot reach the age of 25. This is applicable even if your relative was deported, whether if your relative passed away, you can still qualify for this, but time is of the essence. You need to apply for this within 2 years of the death or 2 years of their deportation. So, for example, if you were the child of a permanent resident, I'm going to give you a scenario here. You are the child of a permanent resident. You were here without your papers, or they may have applied for you to get your papers, but maybe they withdrew or they weren't cooperating with the process. And then say they were arrested for assaulting you one day. um, and the police took them away. And as a result of the conviction they got, they were deported. In that case, you can still move forward and get immigration relief through the VAWA process. By the way, this can also serve as a defense to deportation. So if you are already in deportation proceedings, you can apply for what's called VAWA cancellation of removal. And that can also help you through the removal process to get out of it and instead to get relief and path to your green card. So you don't have to be married to get your papers here. There are other forms of relief that we've looked at in certain cases. For example, deferred action. So if you were in if you were in a situation where you you have severe, so this is through medical deferred action, you are facing severe health issues, we have gotten deferred action for our clients, and after approval of the deferred action you can then apply for a work permit. It is based on their discretion, but if you do show that you have an economic necessity to have a work permit, they can issue that work permit while you're on deferred action. Typically, you get 2 years, and then you can always apply again to have another. It's not an extension, but get another grant of deferred action, just depending on what your situation is. So there is relief out there, and they are processing it. We just got an approval on a deferred action for our client, so I know that it is still in process. It is still possible. They are still determining those kinds of cases. So let's see. We did asylum. We did T. We did U. We did VAWA. Now, adjustment of status, I'm going to bring it up because there are ways to adjust status even without getting married, even after an overstay. If you're under 21 and unmarried, and you are the child of a US citizen, son or daughter of a US citizen, then you can still go through adjustment of status if you've overstayed your visa. If you came without permission, that's a different story. But if you overstayed your visa, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people, unfortunately, even parents, think that if their child gets to 18 years old, they've missed a chance to apply for their child here in the US, and that's not true. If you are under 21, right, once you hit 21, at that point it's too late. So they must submit the application before your 21st birthday, and they have to be a US citizen parent, and you have to show that you've overstayed, right, that you came in with a visa but you've overstayed. You can qualify through your parent for adjustment of status. So don't make the mistake of thinking that being a child under immigration is under 18. Being a child in immigration, for the most part, is under 21. By the way, these forms of relief, T visa, VAWA, asylum, U visa, uh, they all also provide for relatives, spouses, children under 21 and unmarried, and even siblings for the T visa, siblings who are under 18, just depending on your age. And in certain circumstances, it can extend to parents as well. If, for example, the T visa, if the parents were threatened or other family members were threatened, they could also be granted T status under the T visa program. All right. So now I'm going to answer some questions. So what I say here is I have told you some of the options that we look at. if you want to figure out if there are any options available for you, now is the time to do it. Now is the time. Make sure you go visit our online form where you can book your own appointment. And what we do is we don't waste your time and money by making you book first and then having to tell you, oh, we can't help you. What we do is we try to determine as much as possible if it looks as if we can assist you. We have to confirm that, of course, in the appointment, but we do our best to make sure that we ask you the kind of questions to see if it's more likely that we can help you. Use the form. Once you do pass that form, then you can schedule your own appointment. And even then, you don't want to use the form, or maybe you use the form and you want to make sure, give us a call. We are working 24 hours a day. You call, we are booking appointments 3 in the morning, right? That, and I'm making sure that I am providing a service that is available to as many people as possible, because I know that the people need help, right? And I know that this is leading to a lot of people having sleepless nights. And it shows because we had bookings 3 in the morning because somebody can't think straight or they desperately need the advice. And we were there. We are there. So we are a safe space. Give us a call and book that appointment with us so that we can talk to you. And we usually do an initial evaluation to make sure that there is something that we can talk to you about, an option we can talk to you about. So start there. There's nothing to lose. Start with that free initial evaluation. We have the form online. Go to the link in the profile, go to the link in bio. You will see at the bottom, at the top of the screen, confirm your own appointment. Use that form. It is there for you to help you make a decision about moving forward with us and scheduling that appointment. Use our number. Call us at the top of the screen on TikTok. You will see our phone number and you'll see my phone number on the videos. On Instagram, YouTube, you'll see the number going across the screen. Call us. Somebody will answer and get to you right away and give you that initial free initial evaluation to get moving on your case. So we're working 24 hours, really double over the past couple months. I believe we have doubled our team just to make sure that we can be here, because it takes a team. And I want to make sure we are here to help as many people as possible. All right. So, questions. I'm going to start on TikTok and work my way around. So, some of you might see me looking in one direction. I'm looking at TikTok and I'm going to move from platform to platform. So, put your questions in the comments and then I'm going to scroll through. So, TikTok, let's go. Got my EAD, but no SSN. Now, if you don't get your SSN, then you should make an appointment at the Social Security office to get your SSN. Sometimes there's a lag and you can go to the office and get it. My son's visa expires in January 2026, but planning on traveling December. Do I have to renew before? So usually they like to see a 6 month validity period. They may be hesitant coming in with an a visa that's about to expire. They may not give the 6 months. They may not even allow entry. So I'm not your lawyer. I can't tell you what to do. But I know, for example, if when I'm traveling on my passport, and if it has less than 6 months validity at the time that I'm entering the country, I just go get another. I do renew my passport because most countries say you have to have a 6 month validity. You don't want to be traveling and then find out that you won't be admitted to the country because you did not have sufficient validity on the passport. So I can't tell you what to do. I'm not your attorney. I haven't reviewed your visa or anything, but I can tell you generally it would be a good idea to try to get that. Okay. His father's out of status in the States, will that affect his renewal? Possibly. Yes. Yeah, it could, because they can look into his background and they can see that the father's in the US, because his father's listed on his application. And by the way, they are going back to the very beginning of your visa applications. So you should never be putting anything fake on your applications, especially if you are looking to apply for I mean, you should never do it, but they are looking at visa applications. So, like, if you go into your interview, your green card interview, they will go right back to your visa application to see were there any discrepancies in your visa application, and they can then charge you with immigration fraud. So don't try to pretty up any facts or put any fake facts to try to get an immigration benefit. So if it's father's listed on the application, which they usually ask for that information, then they will be able to see that he's in the States out of status, and they can see that as a basically it goes against your son, because they can look at that, at the fact that he could be at risk for staying too and staying with his father. My son was born here in the US. He will be 21 years old this November. I've been here since 1994. So if your son has been here and you entered with a visa, then at that point, once he turns 21, you can apply. He can petition for you to get your green card through adjustment of status. You just have to show, even though you've been here since 1994, if you entered legally, you should be fine going through the adjustment of status. Give us a call, though. It's best. Nothing is simple anymore in the immigration process. Nothing is simple. So don't discount your case as being simple. Nothing is going to happen. It's unlikely anything will happen. Make sure you have representation going through the process. Is there a time frame to apply for asylum if you overstay? Yes, great question. You have 1 year from the date of your entry. If you did not meet that deadline, you do have to show that you face extraordinary circumstances that caused the delay, like sickness. There was something that caused you to not apply within a reasonable time, or change circumstances in your country. So, for example, Haiti, right? At one point, people would come in with their visas and they were fine to go back to their country in Haiti. But at some point, the country took a turn, the stability, it became unstable. And because of that, now some people, because it's politically unstable, some people can then seek political asylum here based on the conditions in Haiti, based on changed circumstances. That's just an example. So keep that in mind. And if you're afraid to go back to your country, I talk to us. We can talk to you about whether the exception to the 1 year deadline rule applies. Is there, let's see, how long for VAWA? So 3 years, it ranges, but 3 years, I am seeing that they are saying, I think 46 months or 41 months as well on the USCIS website. That does not mean yours is going to be 41 months, but it does mean that the longest case has taken 41 months. So it could be within that range. I'm married, but we separated, and I have a 10-year green card. Can I still do my 3-year citizenship? Good question. I'm not your attorney. I can't give you personalized legal advice, but what I can say is what you do have to show that you are living in marital union. If you're separated or you're going through a divorce, that 3 years is not going to count anymore, because you do, at the time that you apply, you have to show you're living in marital union. So you would have to wait for the 5 years, but get an opinion. Talk to us in an appointment so that we can confirm that for you in your particular case. Um, is it a good sign if a marriage-based AOSK status says interview completed with no interview yet? Um, I've never really seen that before. I've never seen that. What I would say is it might be an error. It may be an error in the system. Sometimes that happens. But if you have not gotten the official approval, I would say that is a good news, the official approval. They right now they are scheduling interviews for marriage-based green card. So it's unlikely they would waive the interview. Got my EAD, but no SSN, so I answered that. Can I apply for EAD on the I-130, but I-485 denied? Unfortunately not. I work permit is dependent on the adjustment of status when you're going through the I-130 family-based petition. How does it take after my daughter joined the Navy? How long does it take after my daughter joined the Navy? I'm a VAWA 1 year. So I'm not sure what your facts are here, but if you're doing VAWA, it wouldn't affect the VAWA because the VAWA is a self petition, so they're not going to look at the fact that your daughter joined the Navy. However, if you entered the country without permission and you would like to seek what's called military parole in place, then you're able to get that through your daughter, right? So that is one benefit. And if you do that, I don't know how old your daughter is, but that parole will allow you to adjust status. So you would be going through VAWA, but you would have additional options to move forward. So you could fall back on if the VAWA doesn't work out, you could fall back on the adjustment of status through your daughter once she turns 21. Um, if asylum is submitted, how long does it take to get your work permit? 180 days from the time you apply. You need to apply it 150 days after you submit the asylum application. Can I apply for EAD under? Oh, so I answered that. Where are you located? Delray Beach, Florida. We do represent clients in all 50 states and the globe. Our base location is Delray Beach, Florida. What if you're married but not together anymore? Can you still get your citizenship after 3 years? You need to show that you're living together in marital union. How long does a receipt notice for VAWA take, and what is the processing time? Right now, we're seeing it taking up to 12 weeks. So it's very nerve wracking right now because the receipt notices are taking a while. So I would say 2 weeks to 12 weeks. And that's because immigration is it's busy. That's why I say act now, because applications are going in like crazy, so you want to be on top of it. And that's a sign. It's busy season right now. And speaking of busy, as I said before, we are getting bookings around the clock. 3 in the morning, right, is what I saw. One booking coming in 3 in the morning, and that has been happening day after day. We're booking out fast, so please make sure that make a move. I am trying to make sure that we tailor our team to be able to be there, answer the phones, and be ready to advise clients and individuals about their cases. But you have to take that step because we are filling up very quickly. What can be done if you overstay your visa and you have a petition in process? Give us a call because it depends. If you overstay and your visa, you do qualify for adjustment of status, then you may be okay under certain circumstances. Now, it depends on what kind of application you filed, right? Because some of them allow you to apply even though you overstayed and others don't. So we would have to know what kind of petition process are you going through. If you're just going through an I-130 petition or an I-140 petition, then that's not adjustment of status, and so you would not have any protections if you're going through adjustment of status and you've overstayed after applying, or it's one of the, for example, you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, so it allows you to end up overstaying while your process is going through, then you should be fine. But if it's not one of those and you just have a petition pending, you don't have any protections. And you must make sure you're applying for your work permit, your social. That can help you to also get protection while you're here. How long does I-130 take to approve for parents of a US citizen? I would say 9 to 12 months, maybe a little over a year now. Can I get a green card through my son? I currently have DACA. If your son has to be 21 or older and a US citizen to file for you. I want to know about E2 visa as a Canadian. So, the E2 visa is a business visa. And if you want to start a business here and you are going to show that you're going to create a thriving business that's aimed towards growth here in the United States, then it is possible for you to obtain an E2 visa. Now, the E2 visa isn't the same as the EB5, which requires, I believe, a minimum investment of 900,000. I think 500,000 in some cases. The E2 does not have a set amount of money. And you do not have to show that you're a millionaire, right? Sometimes you don't necessarily even have to show all that money just sitting in the bank. Actually, it could go against you just showing money in a bank. You do have to show that you're investing, you're in the process of investing a certain amount that will be going into that business in the United States. You may not be able to start the business, but what steps are you taking to show that you do have that investment, that minimum investment to run this business in the United States that's aimed towards growth over a number of years? So that in a nutshell is the E2 visa. If you're in Canada, you can apply for it at the embassy, of course, showing all the evidence, showing your citizenship, showing that your goal is to start a business, but you don't have immigrant intent to live here permanently, that you do have the investment the minimum investment it takes to run a business of that nature. And it depends on the business. They're going to look at what does a business like that, how much does it take to run a business like that? And then they're going to determine whether you have shown that you're in the process of investing that amount into the business. So that's the E2. Jamaicans, Trinidadians, individuals from Grenada also qualify for this as well. Can I get a green card through my son? So I answered that. Can I get a green card through? I'm 29, DACA, been here since 2000, DACA at 16, married last December to an American. What can I do? So it depends. Now, if you have DACA, it does mean that you either overstayed or you entered without inspection as a child. And in that case, that whether you entered without inspection or you entered with a visa is going to determine whether you can qualify for adjustment of status through your spouse, your American spouse. If you entered with a visa, entered legally, then adjustment of status is going to be the most logical path based on the information I have. If you entered without inspection and if you do have DACA, then some DACA recipients, what they've done is they've gotten advance parole, traveled, and when they entered the country, they've gotten advance parole that then allowed them to apply for adjustment of status. But it's so important that you get legal guidance, and travel is risky right now, so it depends on your circumstances before taking any strategic steps like that. Can I travel out of the country if I want my cancellation of deportation as a permanent resident? So if you're a permanent resident, you do have the ability to travel, but keep in mind that the stance of this administration is that it is a privilege. It is not a right. So what that means is when you're coming back into the country, if they see anything new in your background that they did not know before, they can then hold it against you and then find you inadmissible as even a permanent resident. That's not just for you, that's for the risk that everybody is facing, right? So that's the stance they're taking. So you just have to be careful. You got cancellation of removal, you got it fair and square. That is that's a process. That's a legal process. But will what's in your background? What puts you at a higher risk? We would have to know that. How to close removal proceedings if you have an approved VAWA. So this is going to be a matter of going back to the court. Sometimes ICE counsel will agree to a joint motion to terminate the case. So then you could move forward with your adjustment of status. So it's a process. It's step-by-step process. You can always get in touch with us, and we can help you with that. But you have to start by contacting us. What do you do if your wife doesn't want you to get her green card, and all she wants to do is just okay? So if that's the case, give us a call. This It sounds like a spouse is supposed to look out for you. If they are not looking out for you, then that means that I see people on Instagram. Hold on, guys. I'm coming. I'm coming to answer questions. Okay. I have a lot of questions on TikTok. If you know me, if you have been on here with me, following me, you join me, you'll know that I try to answer all the questions. So that's why I'm looking at TikTok, but I'm coming to Instagram, and then I'm going to go to YouTube. So hang tight, everybody, and we can learn from everybody else's questions too. Okay, so Patrick, if your spouse is not looking out for you and does not want you to get your green card, that's indicating to me that's a big red flag for mistreatment. So it's time to give us a call. Let's find out more facts. You may be able to qualify for VAWA, but we need to understand what are the facts here to be able to confirm that. So give us a call. I forgot to disclose civil traffic ticket in N400. Will I be fine? It depends on what stage you're at in the N400. Make sure you disclose that as soon as possible, but talk to your attorney first. Do not, I am not your attorney. So I just said, make sure you tell them, but I don't know what your facts are. Is that a good idea right now? Is there a certain strategy that you have to take while disclosing information? That's where you need to talk to your counsel. If you don't have an attorney, get one, because yes, it can be an issue, but you have to know how to approach it. How long work permit take to be approved? It depends. It could be anywhere from 3 months to 12 months. Uh, all right. Okay. So Instagram, I am here now. So let's answer some questions here. Asylum after submitting. Can I still overstay? So asylum allows you to stay while the process is going through, and you will not accrue unlawful presence while you're here. You won't have your status anymore, but you do have protection while your asylum process is going through. All right, I'm on Instagram now. So, and put those questions in the comments. Does it make sense for her to renew? I don't know. Renew what? Is it the visa? I know I answered that question earlier about the visa. I'm not your attorney, and I can't tell you whether to renew or not. But what I would say is if your visa, just like a passport, if your visa was close to expiration, you have to think, are they going to let you in with just a month left on your visa, right? They're not going to give you 6 months stay with an expired visa. So you have to keep that in mind. So in that case, it may very well be a good idea to get your visa renewed. My mom's 10-year green card expires in September. Oh, so here's the full question. My mom's 10-year green card expires in September of this year. She has been out of the country for more than 3 years. So this is definitely a population of people that are at risk for losing their green card. Those who have stayed out of the side of the country for longer than a year, longer than 6 months, are probably going to get a notice to, if you're trying to come back, you're going to get a notice to appear and to defend your green card, meaning you're going to be put into removal proceedings for the judge to strip your green card if you cannot show why you were out of sight of the country for that long. Your mom, if she's outside of the US, she will need a special type of visa called SB1 visa. It's basically a re entry permit that allows her to come back into the country as a green card holder and re-establish herself as a green card holder. So, yeah, she's at risk. So, coming back into the country, she may get a notice to appear and may even be detained. Good evening. If you overstayed your work visa, what can be done? Give us a call. We want to understand what the circumstances were. And then we could look at some of the options that we offer. And some of our clients have been in that situation, but we have to understand what you're going through. I filed for voucher, but have not gotten a receipt notice. Um, That's happening right now. It's taking a while. So if it's more than 12 weeks, what I do is I track the packages. If the package gets there and you have confirmation of delivery, then just give it a little bit of time. And then you may have to contact them to see if maybe it went to the wrong address. Just make sure everything is good. How hard is EB2 NIW if you have a master's degree in tech? So it depends. Hard is going to depend on your particular case, right? It's what is your likelihood of success based on your credentials. Having a master's degree alone, that's a good start, but it's not all of the. It doesn't determine your qualification alone for the NIW, for the green card through NIW. You have to show other criteria, mainly targeting your goals, your history, your history in the tech field, accolades, what have you done to contribute to the industry, stuff like that. Pending asylum and married to a citizen, can I adjust in the US? It's possible, but we have to find out what your facts are, but it is possible. After submitting asylum, can I still overstay or I'm good? Asylum, those you have no choice. If you're applying for asylum, you do have to stay, and that might mean overstaying the visa, but they don't hold it against you. You don't have your visa anymore, but they don't hold it against you, the time against you as unlawful presence. How long does VAWA take to be approved? It can take so up to 41 months right now, but my experience is about 3 years. Thank you so much, Dream Queen of Hearts. I appreciate that. My favorite color is red, or like all the shades of red on my lips. So, um, how long do you believe I should wait before inquiring the status of my case? I submitted VAWA in February, still no receipt notice. Tracking shows delivered. So I would say it's if it's February, you should give them a call and see if they can track it. Track your application. That has happened where it, we never get the receipt notice, and when we call, they're able to determine the error in the address, for example, and then they resend the receipt notice. I would say give them a call, let them know what the problem is, and see if they can track it for you. Can a person who is 18 years old and overstay their visa join the army? Unfortunately, not. You need to show status. When is the best time for? But keep in mind that I am not a recruiter in the military. Um, you can do your own research, see if you can call a recruiter to determine whether what the qualifications are to join the military. But my understanding is You cannot join unless you're a US citizen or a permanent resident. When is the best time for my wife to file for me after our marriage? And is this difficult time? What's the time from to get my green card? I would say as soon as possible. There's no rule that says you can't apply right after marriage, but you must make sure you submit a really good, thorough application. And that means that it might take some time for you to put it together. You can always give us a call and we can work with you to get it done as quickly as possible. That tends to take a lot of the stress off of couples. So you give us a call and we can put your application together, but you need to call us, let's talk, and then get started. Marriage-based green card interview scheduled. I'm scared. Understandably, I know you're nervous. I'm going to give you some tips, some quick tips for the interview right now. They're going line by line through your application. That means you should know all what is in all of your applications. Look at it like you're studying for a test. Make sure you know all the addresses you put in there, the dates of those addresses, your employment history. If you catch a mistake, make sure you write that down so you can correct any mistakes on your application that you maybe just spotted. Make sure you know every detail of the application. The other is prep with your spouse. I know the two of you feel like you know each other, but going into that interview, you'd be surprised how it leaves your head, or think they ask you things you never really thought about, right? Like they may ask you what's the color of the sheet or what's the color of the curtains. Have you take a note of all of that? Who makes breakfast? What's your favorite food? Who does the cooking? What did you do last weekend? Make sure you know what you're know be very wary and aware of your environment, what your routine together, what you've done in the past, what when your anniversaries, when your marriage date was, birthdays of parents and in-laws and siblings. Make sure you know that information. If you want a full list of some of the questions that come up during a marriage-based interview, you can go to the link in the profile, go to the link in the description of the video. You will be able to see that I have a handout, so a PDF handout that's available for individuals to look and look at those interview questions. It's not meant to substitute attorney advice, but it is there for good information to make you aware of what those questions look like. Keep in mind, I can't predict what they'll ask, but based on my experience, I have an idea of the kinds of questions. I have a notice to appear sent to me from an old removal case that was dismissed by the judge. What can I do? Can VAWA help me avoid deportation? That's another thing. The solutions that we offer can assist to get your case terminated. So, for example, with T's, once a T is approved, just by operation of law, removal is canceled. We just notify the court that a T visa has been approved and they go through the process of terminating the removal proceeding. So, absolutely, there are certain types of relief like VAWA, like the T, that can assist. Give us a call and we can talk to you about possibly going through the removal process with you. Hello there in Canada. It's nice to see you. All right. Okay, so I see here. Okay, so now I'm on YouTube. So put your YouTube and Facebook, put your questions in the comments. I've applied for T visa on March 2025. It's 2 months past, didn't receive receipt notice. When can I expect? So we're seeing 3 months. And keep in mind, I'm giving estimated times based on our experience, but I'm seeing 2 weeks to 3 months right now for receipt notices. So it's not out of the ordinary. We just make sure it gets there, and then we wait. And if it takes too long, we do contact them to find out if they got it, but maybe the receipt notice got lost. My PD, hello, my PD, it's June 2023, so priority date. EB3 skilled, Bogota, Colombia. Do you think I may obtain an interview this year? So interviews are taking, I just noticed across the board. I'm noticing a year to a year and a half, even 2 years in some cases. So uh, it might not be it might not be, let's see, PD June 2023. Yeah, so it might be anytime soon. It might be anytime soon. Thank you. I see you. Thank you so much for that. I want to apply for K1 visa and would like to know how long they would be waiting for a work permit. I could do I-130, but I think that process is just too long. So the K1 does not apply to anybody who is in the US. The K1 is for people outside of the US. So you can't get a work permit if you're outside of the US. You have to go through the process. And yes, the process may be anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years for even the K1 visa. But you can't get the work permit in the alternative. And if your fiance is in the US, then it's you need to apply for adjustment of status for your spouse, and you have to get married. You have to get married. So no fiance visa if you're in the US. Is there anything for PhD students who need a green card? Yes, it's called the National Interest Waiver, and this is for people with advanced degrees, like the PhD. It depends on what PhD you have, though. Do you have it in business? Do you have it in science? Do you have it in STEM? Do you have it in the arts? If you do, then you could qualify. You could possibly qualify. Now you're a PhD student. That means you probably have your master's, I think. So if you have your master's, you have really good experience in your field, and you have a really solid goal in the United States, then NIW is a possibility. Give us a call. We can talk more about your qualifications. If you are a 10-year green card holder, can you file for your mother since everything is taking a long time? You need to become a US citizen. Green card holders can't sponsor their parents. I-130 was approved and I-485 closed administratively because of removal proceedings. And I filed a motion to terminate removal proceedings. It's been 4 months now. How long should I wait? So this can go on anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. So yes, it's a process. My VAWA was filed in 2022 and I didn't receive my work permit notice as yet. I only received my prima facie letter. How long does the work permit take? It can take anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. I'd be concerned if you haven't received a receipt notice. Yeah. So just check on your case. Is there a way to check my VAWA case states except my online account and how I can connect to Vermont Center without a lawyer? You have to do it by mail, and then you can call now. They have changed the regulations to allow you to call. And they're usually in writing or by calling. And yet you have to do it in writing to change your address. After receiving bona fide determination letter for T visa, how long to get work permit? So we are seeing a lag, and what I have seen based on the very few that have been issued so far, it's about 6 months after filing, 3 to 6 months after filing, getting the bona fide determination letter. When I talked with my lawyer about something in my receipt notice, instead he fixed it, he withdrew from my VAWA pending case. Can he do that? So that is really more of a civil issue. That's not an immigration issue. How do you have an office in Orange County? Not physically, but we represent clients in all 50 states and the globe, so we can represent you in Orange County. Give us a call. We're here. How everything going? Thank you so much, Veronica. I appreciate the prayers. I'm staying positive. We're, in addition to doing the hard work, we are keeping the faith and praying as well. So, and we are making a difference for our clients, and that's what keeps me coming. That's what keeps me broadcasting to the world that there are options that are available. 3 years and no decision on my I-360. Yes, I would say you might be getting one very soon. So start looking out for that, and I'm praying you get a decision soon. What if you did 2 interviews September 2024 and still haven't gotten any answers? So if you got 2 interviews, that means they're really looking into things. I don't know what the nature of your case is, but if it's adjustment of status, they did 2 interviews, then at that point I would be concerned. But they might be taking a little while to make a decision. Is my pending VAWA gonna get denied with a single reckless driving? It's been pending for 2 years. So whenever it comes to criminal offenses, we need to know facts. It depends on the facts here. Reckless driving, was it you were speeding very fast and they gave you reckless driving? Was somebody injured? What happened? Um, Is my pending VAWA gonna get denied with a single reckless driving? If It depends. It depends. Give us a call. Let's go through what happened. You do need to disclose that information as well, and they may ask in a request for evidence. They may ask for that information. Now, if you want to give us a call back, if you already did an appointment and you want to give us a call back to talk about your appointment, go ahead and call the office for sure. All right. Thanks, everybody, for your time. I appreciate all these questions. Really great questions. As I said before, we're focusing on solutions. So make sure that you go ahead. You can utilize our online evaluation form, and that will be able to tell us whether you can pass the evaluation for one of our services that we offer. We don't want to waste your time and money. That's why we have these resources available for you. You can also call. And I say, regardless, give us a call. We are here 24/7 to make sure that we are providing support for so many people that are going through a lot of uncertainty right now. It's a scary time, and we want to make sure we're here to provide solutions. So, but we need you to take that step to call us. The number is going across the screen. At the bottom of the screen, you can go to any video on my profile page and you'll see the number there on TikTok and Instagram as well. And make sure you like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, do it all so that as many people as possible can see the information that I'm sharing and they can get information to empower them through the immigration process. It also means that when I come on, you'll get notification that I am live. You can hop on and ask your questions. All right. Have a good one. I'm really looking forward to assisting you. Stay safe and focus on faith, hope, action to solutions. All right. Have a good night. Bye bye.